Welcome back to the Knolling Shed. Today I'm sculpting. There's a T in there. Today I'm sculpting a little figurine out of green stuff. I'm calling this little guy Hiroshi Hashimoto. He's one of the, in my universe, he's one of the 47 Ronin who waited patiently for 2 years to avenge the death of their disgraced master. More about that later, but right now I'm just kind of getting started with the armature. As you see, I learned my lesson from the Knolling Gnome, the previous video. I learned my lesson, and I'm being a little bit more deliberate in how I'm setting up this armature. So you might be wondering, why am I making this little guy? Well, like you, I have to earn a living and, pay the bills and so forth. And right now, I'm kind of going through some struggles in the workplace. Things have become rather toxic. And I need, for lack of a better term, a totem to help ground me and center me when I'm going through these more, challenging moments and meetings and committees and so forth. So, yeah. So the eagle-eyed viewers among you will notice that I have no idea what I'm doing here. I've never sculpted before, let alone with green stuff and armature and all that nonsense. And here's the thing. Society tells me that because I don't know what I'm doing, I should be ashamed. I should not feel empowered to do this and to document the process or anything. It's the strangest darn thing. You don't know how to do 99.9937% of the things in this world, and yet you don't wander around, your head hung down in shame and so on. We're all learning, we're all growing, we're developing, and yet, somehow or another, on one hand, learning is considered a virtue, continuous learning, lifelong learning, all that stuff. We make the right sounds, we say the right words. On the other hand, learning involves failure. It is a necessary element of learning. If you try something and you don't fail, you didn't learn anything. On the other hand, if you try and fail and then try again and are just slightly better, you have learned. And yet, we feel ashamed that we don't know what we're doing, that we are trying new things, that we are exploring our competencies and stretching our competencies. I like competence porn as much as you do, and I love to watch videos of people just really making some really cool-ass stuff. I get it. But that's not what I want to do. I want to try things, to explore things, to push myself and just surprise myself with what I am able to do when I never thought I'd be able to do it. All right, so that was a bit of a rant, I'm sorry, but I feel pretty passionately about that. We shouldn't be apologetic for learning and growing and developing. All right, so moving on. What I'm trying to do here is, as they say, trust the process. I've watched a lot of videos, and it's kind of interesting how an object can go from garbage to something approaching impressive just by staying on the path when you don't necessarily see your end objective in sight. So that's what I'm doing here. And yeah, it's starting to fill out a little bit. It's starting to look a little bit more like a figure rather than just some armature wrapped with green stuff and so on. I didn't measure anything out. I didn't say, well, the torso should be this tall and the thighs should be this size. I should have. Honestly, I wanted this to be smaller than it's turning out to be. That seems to be a theme in the two sculptures I've done so far. They're much larger than I had originally anticipated, but that's all right. I can work with this. All right, I'm pretty excited now. This is starting to go somewhere. I put the clothing on, and that made such a difference. Now, I admit I put the clothing on off camera because, to be perfectly honest, I was really starting to doubt myself and doubt that I was going to have a video by the end of this. And so I just started doing stuff and saying, well, we'll see what happened. And, well, what happened was pretty darn neat. I can actually see a figure here. And I can't tell you how stoked I am to see this. You know, and I shouldn't doubt myself. Well, we all doubt ourselves, right? And so I feel a little bad that I didn't capture that moment where it started to come together. But you know what? I'm feeling really good about this thing at this point. Now, I'm putting the head on here. I am not going to try to sculpt the face. I know my limitations. There will be a time where perhaps I will be able to do that, but this is not that time, as Aragorn would say. What did he say? This is not that day? This is not that day. Yeah, something like that. Awesome speech, man. So this might be a good moment to tell you the story of the 47 Ronin. In the early 18th century, there was a young lord, a daimyo named Asano Naganori, and he was assigned by the shogun to host imperial envoys and so forth. And this was a big deal. This was a high honor. And to help him out in this assignment, you'll see the irony of helping him out here in a moment, the shogun sent along a court official named Kira Yoshinaga. Now, Yoshinaga, he was sent to help, but he was a complete and total ass, full of himself, and just treated Naganori abysmally, constantly humiliating him and degrading him in public and so forth, and looking for bribes and what have you. And this was ceaseless. This was just every day, incessantly. Well, as you can imagine, Naganori he could not put up with this any longer. And one day he totally snapped and attacked Yoshinaga. Attacked, but unfortunately he couldn't finish the job. He just wounded him. Well, this was a horrible, horrible insult to the shogun, since Yoshinaga was the shogun's envoy. And so Naganori was commanded by the shogun to commit seppuku. But now here's the deal. This meant that all of Naganori's samurai were now masterless. And furthermore, they were the former samurai of a disgraced daimyo, which meant that they were now Ronin, masterless samurai who basically became mercenaries, the very lowest of the low when it came to the samurai class. But now here's where things get interesting. 47 of these Ronin, they get together and they decide that they are going to avenge the death of their lord. But they know they're being watched. Yoshinaga's not an idiot. He knows that they could very well be coming back for revenge. So he sends spies to kind of keep tabs on these 47 Ronin. But these Ronin, they go all in. I mean, they are method actors. They disgrace themselves. They become thieves and beggars. Even their friends and family, they distance themselves from them because They've just become just the worst kind of people you can possibly imagine. So eventually, Yoshinaga's men go back to him and say, "You have nothing to worry about. These guys, they are gone." And so he lets his guard down. And that is when the 47 Ronin strike. They get back together, they storm the castle, and they avenge their lord by murdering Yoshinaga. And they don't flee. They don't take off. They stay exactly where they are, and they wait for the shogun to arrive. But the shogun was so impressed with the loyalty of these men that he allowed them to commit seppuku there in front of him, which, okay, to you and me, that may not sound so awesome, but to them, that was the highest possible honor that they could receive. So, yeah, that's the story of the 47 Ronin. Folks, I'm just really pleased with how I can't even say it. I'm just really happy with how this turned out. It's like I said at the beginning, everyone, you don't know what you can accomplish until you try. And I know I'm making it sound like I created, some fabulous work of art, but as far as I'm concerned, I did. And last I checked, I was the second most important person in my life. So, yeah, this is awesome.